Hello everyone, this is Robbie. I'm here with my friends and they're from Afghanistan. As we all know, in these days, what's happening on that land. We are here to share some thoughts. The people living in Australia, how they are thinking, how they are feeling. Of course, we all feeling a pain. So Sarah is with me to support me.
Absolutely. Before the introduction, when we say that our friends are from Afghanistan, we need to remember that they are Afghan Australians, like we are Indian Australians, or we are Pakistani Australians, or we are African Australians. Before we categorize what nation we have come from, I would like our multicultural friends to focus on that we all are migrants and our pain is the same. I won't be touching upon what is happening in Afghanistan because every person listening and hearing to this conversation is very much aware of the background. We are here to touch upon how our Afghan friends are feeling at the moment because no matter however much we can say that we understand your pain, we cannot understand the sentiments and the emotions and that pain to that level that is felt by every individual Afghan friend here in South Australia. Um, but by asking, are you okay? By saying, yes, we feel your pain, is a start of a conversation where we are sending a message out to our Afghan friends saying, we are there with you as a family, we will stand by you, let us know how you feel, let us know how we can help you. So with us we have Mansoor Hashmi, I call him Mansoor Bhai, and here we have Mr. Samandar and I call him Samandar Bhai. Reason being, usually we have very professional interviews, but addressing Bhai on purpose is telling everybody we are brothers and sisters and in this pain together. Mansoor Bhai, you and I have had conversations off the camera as well, and you have personally gone through a very high emotional roller coaster. Again, there are a lot of questions in my mind, but they're all around how you are feeling and how your family and your friends around you have been feeling since that one day that changed the history of Afghanistan has.
First of all, I would like to say hello to all audience of Raabta Radio, and I would also like to thank you guys for your time and for showing your support and sympathy to the Afghan community. As you all know, it's very saddening news that you are hearing from Afghanistan. It's very distressing to the Afghani community in Australia, especially in South Australia. Uh, as, as I mentioned to you guys, and I was talking to you guys personally, our people in Afghanistan, they've fought for 20 years now against this radicalism, this ideology, and for the last 20 years we gave a lot of sacrifices to improve the lives of people, to improve women's lives, to stand for what's right, to stand for the humanity. And then suddenly within 1 week, the whole thing changed, and now our country is going to be controlled by a group which is called Taliban. And unfortunately, as I'm not, as I mentioned to you guys before, I don't want to use politically correct words. I'm just speaking clear. Unfortunately, Afghanistan is the battlefield for other countries, and I've said it many times. Yeah, I've said it many times. And I'm not going to stop this because it's true. As you guys might have seen, the post from Joe Biden today. They said they were there for their own interests. They were not there for nation building for Afghanistan, which means they don't care for us, and that's what they said straight clear on the post. They got what they wanted. They finished Al Qaeda because it was a threat to America, not for Afghanistan. So now they're not there. They don't care for the people of Afghanistan. It is a battlefield for others. This is the proxy wars which is happening in Afghanistan. For many decades now, our people are sacrificing their lives. We are the real victims, but unfortunately, as we all see in other countries and abroad, when they see us, they think we are Taliban. But we are the victims, we are the ones who are suffering from their brutality and their inhuman actions.
Yeah, pretty much. So we're pretty much aware of from the history, and we all aware from the history of Afghanistan. So Afghanistan's keep fighting from long time. As long you're going back, and they are always come up with different. Is there any ending point? Seeing something in the future where we can see yes, Afghans now living with peaceful.
I hope this comes through. I mean, when just before 1 week we thought that's the place that we are now. That we are now in peaceful position. When the last 20 years, that's what we were thinking. But unfortunately, there's those powers or those allies who call themselves allies of Afghanistan. They are playing on our country and they are fighting their wars. So they are changing the whole situation. And unfortunately, it's because of the strategic location that Afghanistan has. We are in the middle of China, Russia, Afghanistan, Iran, Pakistan, and somehow close to India. So these are the countries who are fighting each other. And so we are the perfect place for them to carry on those proxy wars. And if they can do it, why not? But I hope our people does understand. And I mean, the mess has started now. So I believe it's not going to be forever. Our people will resist, and we can see that there are people still standing against these ideologies the Taliban has. And if these countries become real friends, of course, we can see peace. But if you have one enemy, it could destroy you very easily. And especially if they say that they come in ally, if they're saying that they're allies, but they're real enemies in the back. If they come in the face of allies, it's a bit difficult to understand who they are.
We were talking, we've been using this word power. As I was watching a few videos, sitting here, all what we are watching is what we are believing. There has been a mention of transfer of power in those videos. And then what does that transfer of power? See, we are not talking about what the leaders of different nations are seeing as a transfer of power. Samantha Rai, what do you think this transfer of power will be for Afghan people, or as an Afghan, how do you describe this transfer of power?
Thank you. I would say it's not transaction of power peacefully. Since they started from north and southern part of the country, and the fight was going for more than 2 months continuously, and then there was few districts that the government stepped back and they withdraw from those specific districts. I think that was the between the US and the Taliban. So behind the scene. So it's still unclear what the US and Taliban have signed, what contract did they sign, that they forced the Afghan government to withdraw from the whole country. So as we say, it's not the government, they haven't signed any piece of paper to the Taliban that they have submitted the power. So it's not transaction of the power in the way that another government can. That's why we cannot see, if that was the transaction of power, we would see a new president of Taliban in the presidential palace. But you see now in the presidential palace, the Taliban warriors.
Great. I've been talking to a lot of non-Afghan friends since yesterday. Again, what we are seeing in the media is what we are believing, and there are two different kind of images that are coming in the front that we are looking at. One is the Afghan civilians are panicking, and they are trying to board the planes, they are trying to board the cargo ships or cargo planes, and they are all panicking.
Yeah.
Whereas the other image that is coming up, and we discussed about, and we had a conversation about this earlier, is the group that has taken over is very respectfully folding the Afghan flag and sending a message out there that women and children, or especially the girl child or children, will not be denied education, they will be given all those rights and all. As a common person, what to believe?
Yeah.
What to believe? If everything is peaceful, there is no denial to the education, there is no denial to the human rights, humanity is not being put at stake, then why is that panic in the Afghan civilians? So, as per me, as a common person, if I'm having a conversation with my friends, then I'm asking or requesting them to support their Afghan friends and
Yeah.
be respectful, understand the emotions of
Yeah.
every Afghan friend around us. But their mind is divided in these two different
Yeah,
images. So, what do you have to say about it?
the problem is that what they do in front of the media is
Hmm.
completely different to what they are doing. Please, let's not forget that 2 weeks ago these are the ones who were doing suicide bombings in Afghanistan. They could not change overnight, so this is the same group.
True.
Yeah, who were doing suicide bombings in mosques and shopping malls, and they wasn't care who's getting killed. So it's the same group now in power.
Hmm.
But they've learned how to react in front of the media. That's the difference. Just I think 3 years ago, one of the Afghani guys who was around 18 years old was carrying Afghanistan flag, the three-color flag, the real flag of Afghanistan, which we will never accept the new one that they were proposing. And he was shot on his head for carrying that flag. But because it's behind the scenes and nobody watches it, in front of the media they fold it very nicely with respect and they give it to someone else that okay we respect it. But after that, what happens to that soldier who took the flag from him? We don't know.
Hmm.
And who would criticize this group if they are doing anything wrong? Who would dare to go on social media and say, Taliban, you're not doing this thing right?
Yeah.
No one. I was watching one of the guys who's doing a YouTube, he's a YouTuber from Afghanistan, and I saw him today doing a YouTube program in Kabul. I was kind of surprised of like, how come you can still do it? But then I saw he was sitting in a car with the Taliban, and he had the mic in his hand. He was asking people, "How's Taliban treating you guys?" And they were like, "It's so good, it's so good." But you have Taliban in front of you, and I don't know how the Taliban took him. Let's go because you're a YouTuber. Make this video and put it on YouTube.
Yeah, so
So-
to change people's mind.
Yeah.
So well now, because you are living here in Australia and your family, your loving ones living in Afghanistan, so you of course you are worried about them. So what because it's just not so easy because you cannot go. There's many reasons
Yeah.
you cannot go. Oh, the behind the door, of course, we don't know how your family is suffering from the pain, from the stress, So what kind of environment is happening into your families? This is just like how you're the concern. What concern
Yeah.
you're carrying right now?
Yeah. It's not just about my family. It's when I think, I kind of think all Afghanistan is my family.
Yes, of
So,
course. Yeah.
so I kind of take it away
Yes.
that my parents or my siblings are dead. It's millions of people whose lives are in danger, and that's something that concerns me. There was, as I said before, there's thousands of people, thousands of girls who were fighting very hard to raise the voice of innocent women, to advocate for women's rights. What is going to happen to them? So it's all of them. As you mentioned before, why people are panicking?
Hmm.
Because these are the things that Taliban doesn't want.
I did see a clip yesterday where on the walls they have this massive hoardings, 3 or 4 different hoardings where women are there and women in fashion were there. And there's this individual, he was putting the whitewash on it and covering it all.
Yeah.
Which was the first thought that came in my mind is that freedom has been washed away. And then today I read a statement where it said any girl over the age of 15 and any widow under the age of 45 will be marrying the fighters, because they call the group fighters, will be marrying fighters. So with will, without will, I don't think that will even be a question there. So again, this is what triggered in my mind when you
Yeah.
just mentioned about the women rights. You were
The
about to
reason-
say something?
Yeah, the reasons for the last while people are coming, they have proved themselves from last 25 years, from the time that they was in the power. So they have done nothing except destruction, killing, and stealing properties. Except that, suicide attacks, bomb attacks, they have done nothing except that. Destroying schools, mosques, and university. So which one people will forget? No one. Those are people that say in front of the camera that they are Taliban are good, they like them, everything seems okay from last couple of days. But I would just give an example. The presidential car that came in the news that he was speaking in the presidential palace, where dozens of Taliban around him with rifles, and they're asking him how he's feeling. Of course, he said in front of the camera that he's feeling good. The Islamic Republic will be dealing with the new government, but we can see the grief and on his face. You see his face, and when there's dozens of people around you with weapons, and they ask you how do you feel about us? What do you expect him to say?
You just tell them if you're not feeling good, then you will be shot.
Yes.
So you have to say yes, everything is good, everything fine.
As they said that they have forgive all those that they were working with the ex-government or they were working with the coalition forces in the past. But I have received pictures and videos from southern province, from Kandahar. They have already started searching for those that they're working with the ex-coalition forces or security forces, and they have already killed dozens and dozens of those. They just take people out of their homes and take them away and just kill them. And it's been going from last 3 days continuously. So, and the problem is in Afghanistan. So the crime is individual, that's what we believe. But what in Afghanistan culture is different. If you commit a crime and you are not there, your parents, your siblings, they have to pay for your crime what you did.
You mean they're calling it Taliban?
Yeah. So now, those that they're working with security forces, those that they're working with the coalition forces, if they are not there now, their parents and siblings are there, they will pay off. They have to pay off. Now the Taliban will 100%, if not today, it's coming tomorrow today. If not tomorrow, within a week or within a month, they will 100% come and they will kill them.
What is the difference? How differently they are thinking? Why they are trying to put those rules or impose their rules? Which is it really part of a religious background, or just they are using the religious background to impose their own thoughts?
Taliban is, according to our Islam, they always went against Islamic views. According to Islam, if you kill one innocent person, it means you kill the whole nation or the whole world. That's how much sin it is. But when you do suicide bombing in a shopping mall, how many innocent people lose their lives? So how is that
So
Islamic?
you can justify with your own words.
How is that Islamic? Afghanistan is 99% Muslims. How many people follow Taliban? How many supporters they have? Except they are coming. Why they are not doing election and they think they're Islamic and 99% of people are Muslims and they're very practicing Muslims in the whole region, or maybe, or I could say in the whole world maybe, Afghanistan is very Islamic and they're very standing on the religion. Then why they're not doing an election? Because whatever they're doing is not Islamic. And it has been said by all, if they are not political scholars, political Islamic scholars, which like some countries are exporting to Afghanistan, but the real scholars, like even from Saudi Arabia, they said this is not Islam if you're doing suicide bombing and killing a lot of innocent civilians. You cannot do forced marriages according to Islam. Both parties should agree. I mean, girl and boy should agree. They should say that yes, we are ready to marry. And how is that Islamic according to Taliban? We are in Islam say that women cannot work. There was a lot of women during the Prophet Muhammad when they went for jihad or for the when they were defending themselves when they were going to the Makkah back to their own homeland. There was a lot of women helping those fighters. If they were getting injured, they were helping them. They were working.
That was work.
Prophet Muhammad's wife was a businesswoman, Hazrat Khadija. So where does in Islam come that a woman cannot work? Where does in Islam come that a woman cannot study? That's the first word revealed to Prophet Muhammad. Iqra, learn. And it didn't say for men only. It's for whole humanity. So they are the things that the Taliban is doing which is against Islam. As I said, I'm very practicing Muslim, and I said openly in this country that they are not representing our religion. They are not representing our culture.
Yeah. So they just use
Whatever they are doing, this is not part of culture as well. Suicide bombing, we've never witnessed it in Afghanistan before. It just started in September in Afghanistan in 2001 when our national hero Ahmad Shah Massoud was killed in the suicide bombing. That was the first one when it started, and that was not even Afghans.
US stepped off from Afghanistan. So now, because after that dramatically happened, very quickly they taken over. So when as a person, or when as a person similar to you, so when you're thinking what could be done in the future now from other nations like Australia, US, or others, so they can control the situation, so they can stop. So what action as a person you thinking they should take it?
You want to go point or?
The reason that government collapsed, so everyone knows that it was a deal. We had the 350,000 national army. If they would fight,
And those army people they trained by US.
yes, they could fight for years and years, and Taliban won't be able to take over the country. But it is the deal of US and the Taliban that what they have signed between. As President Biden said, that they were in Afghanistan based on their interest, not for the nation build. It means that they came to Afghanistan to train their people, and they have tricked the whole NATO and the other allies just by the name of the terrorism and tourist. So they have tricked the whole world, and their allies that they going to Afghanistan to kill the terrorism and tourists in Taliban.
I don't think so. World is accepting it as quickly leaving that country. That the way they stepped out from the country.
It's because they signed the agreement with Taliban. They signed the agreement with Taliban when they were leaving. And the government was not accepting that deal with Taliban. What they were doing is they kind of threatened the government that we will leave if you don't proceed with the peace deal, with that peace process. So what they did, they left straight away. The government was shocked, panicked. The national security forces didn't know how come straight away everything left. So everybody was panicked in the country. That uncertainty started from that side of it. And when they left, they put pressure on the government that if you don't accept my deal, but as he said, there was a betrayal over there. If you don't accept my deal, Taliban can come that quickly. And then they said, okay, we'll bring 3,000 more troops back to Afghanistan. Taliban are close. You do the transition of power to the other person who was also from the United States. But in reality, that was a different game. That was the whole people. They made the government busy on those stuff that is a part of the peace process. They betrayed the national army that do not fight Taliban as part of the peace process, and they didn't fight anyone. So So at the end of the day, once everything came to Kabul, they were like, sorry, there's no transition. It's Taliban who's taking over.
There was a meeting that took place, and during that meeting, a very sensible decision was taken to request the Australian government to have all the Afghans being invited and
Yeah,
open the passes to all the Afghan lives, people, regardless age group,
Yes.
to enter Australia. So what was that email about, if you can share
Yes,
those details?
The meeting was organized by Samana Khan Siddiqui. He was also, sorry, I'm talking on behalf of you, but he's one of the ADF interpreters who work in Afghanistan and Uzbekistan province and different provinces, Australian Defense Force. They already came with this idea to help the families of, the extended families of the interpreters. But when this situation happened, we were like, it's not just ADF now. It's every one of those people who are on humanitarian visas here, who arrived on humanitarian visas to Australia. It means that they had an issue to flee the country. They had something problem over there with Taliban to flee the country. Now, their existence in here and their family members' existence in Afghanistan means that it could put their life in danger. So we were around like 10 community leaders we gathered, and when we decided that we put a statement with our own demands to the government. There were some points that we captured in that statement, and we sent it to almost everyone in the cabinet who that it relates to the federal government, and also some MPs belonging to South Australia. We want them to speed up the process for humanitarian visas. There was, I think, a lot of people who are waiting for their visa applications, but because of the COVID for the last 2.5 years, it was stopped. We are requesting them to give priority to those people whose family members work with ADF or with national security forces. We also requested, in part of the statement is to give priority to the onshore visas, because at the moment around 4 to 10% of applications for onshore applications could be accepted. They're giving a lot of priority to the one offshore before this situation happened, because they were thinking if you're refugee, if your life is in danger, you might have flee the country. You should be in Pakistan or anywhere else in the country. So they were giving a priority to offshore ones. But at the moment it's different situation. Our borders are closed, and people are stuck in Afghanistan, and that was one of the things that the government should take that into consideration, that most of the people whose lives are in danger, they are in Afghanistan. They are mostly in Afghanistan, so they should give priority to them. The other thing which makes it difficult for the people in Afghanistan, millions of people, if I cannot say million, maybe hundreds of thousands of people are internally displaced, which means majority of them do not have those ID cards to prove how they were. So I don't know how the government would consider and how would they recognize those people, but they should take this into consideration and to help them with the process to speed it up. When the similar situation happened in Syria, when the ISIS came to Syria and the insecurity started, when the crisis started, what they did was they reduced the quotas for other countries. They reduced the quotas like other countries from 10,000 to 5,000, and they increased the visa quotas for Syrian people, the humanitarian visas. Now is the time that they do it for Afghanistan, and I believe we are in much different situation to Syria. They still have the government, but our whole government is now those groups. So they should increase it, as Canada has been doing it. Canada gave the 20,000 quota first, and now they increased it to 40,000, another 20,000. So Australia can do it even better, because we are, why shouldn't we? We are always stood for the human rights. So, and they are the ones whose family members are here, and they are the ones whose family members, like ADF interpreters, they gave sacrifice for Australian Defence Force. They were Australian before coming to Australia. They were fighting for Australian Defence Forces. So they were some of the points that we gathered. We gathered from the meeting last night, and then some of the Khan sent it to a few MPs. He's at the moment the representative of the ADF interpreters in here, and I'm the representative of the humanitarian visa holders to lobby with government somehow. And it's not just South Australia wide; it's Australia wide. And there's a lot of people doing it, which is good. As many
Yeah.
people as they do it.
I was about to
Yeah,
say that.
yeah.
I was about to say that you should not feel that there is one or two groups doing it. While I was
Yes,
driving
yes,
here,
yes.
I was listening to the mainstream radio, and the two hosts on that radio were talking about the same thing, same lines, as in Australia should look into more opening up more humanitarian
Yes,
visas,
yeah.
especially for our Afghan friends who are not safe there,
Yes, yeah.
and especially with ADF, anybody related to ADF, because again, you mentioned that it is not only, it is a trend that the people who are relatives to anybody who is against that group, they will be found, if not today, then tomorrow. So it is not just you, there's a petition that has been going around, and it has gathered around over 60,000 signatures,
Yeah, yeah.
which says the same thing, that we want more Afghan families being allowed to enter South Australia. Yeah, it's sometimes humanity fail us. This time we failed humanity with sometimes not acting, even if we are not from the Afghan community, being quiet or being too loud. Either way, it is not that good.
Yeah, yeah.
So, as an outsider, as non-Afghans, we do feel the pain, but and also as non-government people, how can we be of any assistance? How can we help you?
What do you think?
In here, even in the community at the moment, all we need is the support, even if it's by words. If you're standing with the Afghani community, I mean, I've received a lot of messages from the community members. Yes, I received a lot of calls which I don't know. As I mentioned before, I saw one of the guys who just walked to me in the city and he said, "I saw you on TV. I'm so sorry for what happened in Afghanistan." It gave me a very good feeling that we have people behind us.
At least people listening.
Yeah, they're listening, they're caring for Afghani community over here. That's one thing. The other thing is that raise our voice. You guys are the ones who could impact wider community. We might just cover our own community, Afghan community, but when people from other communities join us and they raise our voice against what's wrong, against the brutality that's happening in Afghanistan, against whatever is happening, just share the word, just raise that awareness that this is not right and there's human lives in danger. So however we can do, we should stand, we should raise. There's a lot of fundraising pages happening. There's too many of them, which is good. The more we can raise those funds, even if we are not donating, we can share them. So if out of your 100 friends, one donate, that would save someone's life over there from hunger. Because a lot of people internally displaced in Afghanistan, and when the war started, when the Taliban attacks started, it started from all around the provinces, and they gathered everyone in Kabul. Everybody was escaping to Kabul, and you know how they planned it, and they kind of made it very impossible to fight in Kabul because we had another few million people coming in here. If you fight, it's a atrocity gonna happen over there. So yeah, we can share those fundraising pages, and very important is raise your voices and stand for humanity and just spread awareness as much as you can.
I saw an invitation that was forwarded to me. There's a restaurant here that is raising funds
Yes, yes.
for Afghan
Yes,
and Afghan people. Again, my first thought was, okay, we raise funds and okay, we attend these fundraisers or donate in however way. How is it reaching the right
Yes,
people?
yeah.
But what you just said, it's just a thought that I'm just throwing out there. We raise funds here, and how about the Afghan community form a bank account or a fund raiser committee, however, and all those funds go in there, and fingers crossed we are eligible and we get the grant of humanitarian visa. fund can be used to support those families who enter Australia.
Okay.
Just throwing out there, there could be a possibility, but it can only be initiated by Afghan representatives such as yourself.
I've started a fundraiser page on GoFundMe. I think there's something going on internationally which is putting so much pressure on Afghanistan at the moment. I've started fundraiser on Facebook a week ago. It still hasn't been approved. It's because it's for Afghanistan. I started the GoFundMe page. It's working at the moment. We are raising funds. But I've heard that there was a lot of GoFundMe pages which was closed, which was belonging to Afghanistan. And one of our very famous singers, he started GoFundMe page, and his page was closed by GoFundMe. And I received an email that I have to give a clear explanation of how the fund is used and who is receiving it over there, who is withdrawing from there, which is understandable, but they also give me ultimatum of 5 days. If we don't provide in the GoFundMe page, it's going to be closed. It is quite understandable because they might be concerned
from other end.
they might be concerned that it might go to the wrong hand, like first group.
True.
But it's putting so much pressure on people over there. Now we cannot withdraw the money from the GoFundMe at the moment because it's still in the process of those things. Raising funds is good. I mean, as you said, it's a very good idea to do it. But even if those people who are in Australia, they do get home. But there's a lot of people in Afghanistan and they do not have anything to eat. I heard a few days ago that 2 kids, around 6 months, they died in the park because they couldn't be fed by mom. The mom didn't have any breast milk and didn't have any, because mom was scared and because of the fear she didn't have any breast milk, and they didn't have any from baby formula to give it to them. So the situation is completely different. I know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. It's a very good idea for Australian Afghans to do it here. But at the moment the priority is there's a lot of people dying, and how can you save the lives? I'm sure that nobody will die from here from hunger.
Absolutely.
In Australia.
Absolutely. There
And
will be enough support.
It might be good for the next trip when those people come here.
Agree.
Majority of the people whose lives are in danger. But how can you support those people who are stuck in Afghanistan at the moment, who are away from their homes? They do not have shelter. They're sleeping under the trees, and we've heard there have been abuses to them because of whatever is happening in Afghanistan, because of the insecurity. So how can we help those people? We're thinking they are at the moment who need majority of the help. So if anybody can wanna help with anything, do everything you can to help those people now in Afghanistan. It's completely a big crisis happening in Afghanistan. It's not just Taliban. It's a lot of other things now contributing. As I said, those internally displaced people, they're in a very bad situation, and it's all around the parks, all around the streets. They don't have any shelters. A very single incident could kill a lot of people. And also the COVID is happening, but we don't care about the COVID at the moment because we have bigger problems.
There are circumstances when we wait to bump into a person, or we wait to see a person, or we wait if we are scrolling the phone and someone's name come up, then only we make a call. But this is that time when we should go out of the way and make those efforts, even if you have met, and this is for everybody who's listening, even if you have met one Afghan in South Australia, in Australia once your life, that means you and I have had that connection there. Go out of the way, look for that person's number, just ring, because as Samantha Bhai said, there's enough support within the community because everybody is going through the same pain. And as you said, Mansoor Bhai, that it is not about my family's life, it's all about all Afghan life. So the Afghan community individually and collaboratively are on the same page. It's just making those sentiments and feelings go outside that group, and we feel the same importance and we feel the same need of time, and we go out of our ways to connect.
Thanks,
and in
Mansoor.
future,
Thanks, Mother, and thanks, Arun, for joining us, and thanks everyone who watched us.